Sounds good. Cool. Awesome. Hey everyone. So yeah, really happy to see everyone. Thanks for taking your time to listen to me, and hopefully I'll share something interesting. So my name is Roman Zomko. I'm the founder of AssistMe, which is an AI-based workflow automation platform, and also Impressit, which is our software innovation house, which I've been running for the past 6 years together with my co-founder. Briefly about myself, born and raised in Lviv, Ukraine. So in tech for a bit more than a decade now. I've joined the tech from like a business development perspective, so sales and pitching to win new business. That was pretty much what I was doing for the most part of my life in tech. So my background is not technical. It is international economics. So studied in Ukraine, also in Czech Republic, and yeah, and realized that I'm not that big fan of the economics, but quite a big fan of doing business on international scale, and thought that tech is probably the best area to implement that ambition. So, yeah, I've just got off a plane from New York, so literally had just 1 hour of sleep. So if I know, miss some words, pronounce some words in not the right way, so hopefully you'll still be able to get me. So yeah, but pretty much the past 2 weeks I was doing just that. We had with our head of sales a roadshow across San Francisco and New York, pitching to clients, winning new business. So yeah, happy to share a few takeaways from that and kind of like generally share my feedback. So yeah, so today I'll touch a bit more about how to like successfully reach new clients, what to focus when pitching to specific client audiences, how to win business when you're based overseas, how to build trust, being in the modern era when we are remote, let's say, and we don't pitch to the clients in person. And yeah, so like some other tips maybe around pricing and some other ideas. But I don't think that most of the things I've shared will be something groundbreaking. I'm pretty sure for many of you, this will be more reassuring that you're on the right track pretty much. So, but hopefully you'll get something interesting. So yeah, so obviously when defining what is your client, pretty much your customer audience, it all comes to initially defining what is the exact persona of your client that you'll be selling to. So, and the common recommendation is to narrow down your focus as much as possible. So, not to go too wide in terms of whom are you trying to sell. So, not only focus on specific industry, but really trying to drill down to a very specific persona. Who is your ideal customer? For example, at Impressed, we're going in Impressed, it's a service business. So we are going in very detail, outlining even like the hobbies and like the demographic, the age of our some of the clients that we are going after, so that we can really narrow down the offering to them. So and yeah, so that what we offer will be most likely relevant to them. And yeah, and by the way, most of the things that I'll be talking about today are B2B related, because that's pretty much where most of my background is. So by the way, if you can drop in we have a chat here, right, Purdy? Yeah, if you could quickly write in chat if you're like B2B or B2C, just for me to understand if I'm like covering most of the group here, or most of my stuff won't be relevant to the majority if everyone is B2C.
We have a bit of a mix. So we do have some
Yeah.
Bs in the cohort, yeah, and some
All
B2B.
right. Well, I'm seeing quite a lot of B2B and some B2C as well. So, well, good that at least for someone it will be relevant. I'm happy that I'm not wasting your time. So yeah, so first and foremost, narrow down the your audience to a very specific group, so that your offering will hit most of their pain points. Otherwise, again, like right now, resources are scarce, so and wasting your resources on outreach on LinkedIn or email to a very wide audience and getting very low responses, obviously it's not something that you're willing to do. So, and then obviously you'll be able to outline a more specific, more appealing offering to them, since you'll know exactly whom you're reaching out, so you'll be able to tailor the offering better. Obviously, in the startup world, we always need to constantly change and test different hypotheses. So I think this should be like a pretty much like a weekly process on your team, validating, coming up with new hypotheses, like new offerings, testing them, running campaigns and see whether what is the response, what are the metrics of the of those campaigns, whether audience are responding well or not, and like going really fast and iterating really quickly. And then obviously if you'll see that, okay, if specific some offering get good response, then you can focus on that and just scale the volume of the outreach and so on. Don't try to like have too many use cases, to be fair. For example, with Assist Me, which is like the usage can be quite broad. What we did is we created like an intelligent meeting assistant, which goes beyond, let's say, simple summarization and note taking, and can like execute some specific tasks with the information that the AI picked up during the conversation. So, but obviously in that case, we'll go really broad. We'll, you know, we will have competition on a very broad market, including like note taking. I think some party using some note taker in this session as well. So, and we found out a very narrow use case for customer support companies to automate their quality assurance process, because we found out that let's say big customer support companies who have at least 100 consultants or more have internal quality assurance teams who manually check maybe 1 out of 5 chats of their consultants to validate they comply with the requirements of their clients. Ideal use case to automate with AI. And we decided to focus on this specific use case. And that's how we got our first paying customer. They recommended us to the next customer. And right now we're like, let's say, outlining that use case in more detail. And we'll go on the wider market. We'll run campaigns to make sure that this is helpful for other companies as well. So I'd recommend it again, as well, going really narrow and going like one use case at a time and seeing whether it works or not. And then like obviously once you have already those initial customers, build relationships with them. Like in B2B, obviously the LTV of the client is bigger, so it makes sense to build relationships with those clients whom you feel may become like your champions. That's something that we found really successful for both Impressed and our own product Assist Me, because within Impressed, most of our growth is, to be fair, through referrals, through happy clients, but also like through people who are really, I know, vocal about their good experience. And those should be, you need to identify them and yeah, try to build really good relationships with them, because they will be able to really amplify your success. And of course, one of the important things is to like build personal brand, and I'll touch into that a bit later. Uh, Pretty, how do you usually do? Like, do you usually do Q&A in the end, or maybe like some breaks in between to like, yeah,
We
to
if founders have any questions, they often post them in the chat as we're going through. If there's a question
Mhm.
relating to a specific thing that you said, and then we do Q&A at the end as well, so someone can raise their hand and ask you a question. Um,
Good,
I've also got
good
a lot
guys.
of questions, so it depends if
All
you're
right.
thinking. Or
Yeah, if anyone has like immediate questions, raise your hand. Yeah, because I prefer for this to be a more like a dialogue than a monologue. Uh, Good. Then it comes like the question, all right, you got someone's interest. What exactly to focus on in your pitch, where to find those, let's say, triggers that will make them uh move forward and make the purchase. To be fair, like the best source of those triggers are your existing clients. So make sure that you talk often enough with your existing clients, ask them why they chose to purchase your product, what they like, what might, obviously feedback of what could be improved, but make sure that this is like a standard process in your client onboarding, that there is like a new client form when they were just onboarded, and like give them a quick brief questionnaire to collect those details, which will really help to win more business. And obviously at a later stage, quarterly, or what you find better suited for your specific case, feedback questionnaire for clients to obviously know how to improve the product. But yeah, this onboarding questionnaire will can give you a lot of insight, helping you to understand what made them make a positive decision, and then you'll be able to focus on these items when speaking with new clients. This will obviously help to identify main pain points in the similar businesses in your target audience. And of course, you'll focus on the most strongest ones that your existing clients will tell you. Obviously, nowadays we live in the era of us living, in different locations, and quite often, your product is being sold in a different, like completely different area. For example, you're based in the UK or Europe, and your main target audience is in the US. And then the question is like how to sell, especially in B2B, when the check might be quite big, the price can be quite significant to clients overseas when they haven't seen you, maybe you don't have a strong brand, and so on. Living in Ukraine for pretty much most of my career, so and working on the markets of the US, UK, and Europe. So that's something that I was dealing pretty much all the time. And to be fair, now I don't think many companies that much care where the product is, let's say, based specifically, as long as it's not North Korea, I guess. So other locations should be fine. So yeah, so but still there are some, let's say, limitations. And for example, one of the good ways how to overcome the problem of being located in a different location is to actually travel to the locations of most of your clients. So if there is a specific area where you find that most of your clients are already located, go to them, come to visit them, especially, well, depending obviously on the size of those accounts. But this will help you create, let's say, open up a few opportunities. You'll be able to create content with your existing clients, and that is really important to build trust, and then have, let's say, better material to create case studies for your social media campaigns, for your website. So coming to clients and speaking them in person is really important. For example, AWS, on every, let's say, conference that AWS creates, they're inviting their own clients to, let's say, present their products and present their case studies. AWS almost don't speak about AWS itself in those conferences, but the clients are speaking about them pretty much like themselves. So this is a really interesting technique that I've noticed, and I'd recommend trying to implement it as well. Be available, like be reachable, be like credible, like for those clients. So I think whether it's remote or in person, I think it's always the same. Like if you deliver in commitments, and like I don't know, like present like good quality. I think this will really help again to win trust of your clients and make sure that yeah, this will never become a problem. And by the way of about the topic of building trust, the so-called social selling is now becoming more and more important, and a lot of companies are really successful because of the strong personal brand of their founder. I strongly recommend looking into this, let's say, approach as well in order to build stronger brand for your company in general. So yeah, for those who are not familiar with the term social selling, but I'm pretty sure it's already quite widely used, is pretty much not selling directly through the social media, but sharing the story, and usually that's the story of the founder that builds that trust, and eventually some new business comes out of it. So we are trying to do the same right now. So if you we are already connected on LinkedIn, hopefully you're noticing that. So, but yeah, sharing your path of like building your startup successes, but also like failures, especially failures, they win the trust of the audience because this makes everyone understand that you're a real person, and like this whole story is not like a fairy tale, but it's a real deal. And because obviously in real life it's not only about all the successes but also like what problems we encounter and how we make sure that we overcome them. So yeah, running that I don't know, setting up this routine and discipline of posting and sharing about your progress pretty much from daily, like at least like a couple of times a week, but pretty much this should be daily, is important. So one of my good friends, he is the second time YC founder. So the first startup was called XDraft. It was a legal tech startup. Now they launched a product called AI SDR. So pretty maybe some of you might be willing to try it out. So it's pretty much does how it's called. So it's an AI like AI automated platform to automate the outreach to your clients. So and yeah, so he is posting on LinkedIn daily. So and he's doing that himself. He's not like delegating that to anyone else because no one else, no, let's say, social media manager or an agency can tell his story because that's only in his head. So I'll share his profile with you if interested. So and you'll be able to see it for yourself and maybe take some I don't know, lessons from that. Good. I'll look into the chat and I'll see if there are any questions that I can answer right now.
There's just a question from Marcus
Mhm.
about
What
this.
types of what types of content? This one.
Yeah.
What types of content are you posting? Would you recommend for founder-led marketing? So the best like type of content for example for LinkedIn, to be fair, is your experience. Some like for example, some hypothesis that you've tested and like what were the outcomes. What is like the case studies of your product? So what your clients are saying about your product and some specific use cases. Ask your clients if they don't mind sharing like the numbers from their usage of your product. You know, not necessarily need to say any names, but at least like the numbers should be fine. Just screenshots of like just blur their name, their details, and just post like these success cases of your clients using the product. So things like that. And obviously your personal experience as well, because well, we are all real human. So work and our startups are obviously probably the majority of our life right now, but it's not everything that we are, right? So we have hobbies, we have families. So, and LinkedIn, I think it evolved over the years, and now it's pretty much what I tend to like sometimes think that LinkedIn is now what Instagram was like 5 years ago. So it's LinkedIn is still like professional, but more and more we see content from personal life then as well, because Instagram pretty much like it got its own way. So yeah, and us founders, since we are on LinkedIn pretty much most of our time, obviously that it will share something from personal life as well. So yeah, so I'd recommend obviously giving content about the product itself, your journey of building your business, but also some personal content as well, because this will help, let's say, not become boring in some sort of way, and like engage more again when your con with your audience and build that trust, because they will see, okay, it's a human the same as I am, not
Did you
some.
see how
I'll,
the press picked up on James Watts doing his engagement announcement on LinkedIn?
I
They
missed that.
Yeah, they like the UK press went crazy. So many negative news stories about using LinkedIn for a personal engagement announcement, nothing to do with work. It's a really interesting time, I think, for LinkedIn now that is it a social media or is it a networking platform?
Yeah, I saw founders posting about like family events, some really challenging, like, well, fighting with cancer or, other disease. So yeah, LinkedIn definitely evolved into this like hybrid of like a professional and like, let's say, life updates without like Instagram became like very posh, like people are showing off there. Like LinkedIn is more humble, I think. Like people are not, at least what I'm seeing, like not showing off there that much, but sharing some, let's say, meaningful updates from lives. Anyway, but
have you
yeah,
used this is another question that came in on the chat. Have you used Instagram or TikTok for business generation purposes?
we haven't used it yet. To be fair, like I'm a bit old school in this regards. I haven't cracked TikTok just yet. So we were considering, but again, like the audience for impressive. So I don't think like how we can not sure how we can win business there through TikTok. And again, like assist me, we have a very clear like focus right now in terms of audience. So haven't thought about ways how TikTok can help. I think for B2C products, then definitely yes. So definitely use TikTok. So, but for B2B, maybe yes again, like depending on what you're selling and who's the target audience. So maybe there is specific content that will yeah, win the hearts of I know some product managers or whoever the decision maker is.
Yeah.
Good. I think I missed one question. There was about what is the pitch criteria, time limit for pitching this sorry, it's the question regarding not I think not my
Oh yeah, I
content.
think that's for the
Yeah.
angels next week.
hmm I think there are no questions right now. Good. All right. So yeah, so we already covered building trust. Uh-huh. And one of the topics I wanted to also touch is about like pricing your product, pricing your service. Obviously there are, let's say, more analytical ways how to like find the, let's say, optimal price for your product. But to be fair, like try to price based on the value that your product is bringing. So what would be the alternative to not using your product? For example, again, like the example with AI SDR, the startup of my friend's startup. So they pretty much the alternative to using their product is to have like a full-time SDR doing the same job. So, and obviously, in UK market, I guess it's probably like 40 to 60K per year. So their product is priced at, I think, around like $750 per month. So making like approximately 9,000 per year. This is like according to psychology. So this is, let's say, the limit of the amount and like to the practice of like businesses and improving costs and so on. So this is the maximum amount that mid-level managers can like approve without, let's say, too going like too far in the approval process. So 9,000 a year, that's something that a manager can approve pretty much on his own. So and they just price the product at that level, knowing the value that their product brings, and like what is the psychology of decision making when it comes to pricing. So obviously it's important to test this as well. So seeing what price level, how it correlates to the let's say the close rates, the customer acquisition metrics. So, but I also like wanted to mention that it's not always about, the very thorough analytical approach, but sometimes it's important to look from the psychology aspect as well, or just, research on what is the decision-making process in your specific target audience and how they're validating the purchase of specific products. Uh, Good. That probably is the main part of what I wanted to share with you in general, out of my experience. Something that I've also thought could be helpful is that within Impressed, we've built up pretty much a fully automated process of running, for example, LinkedIn campaigns and automating not only running the campaigns, but also like building the lists of the contacts that will be reaching out to, enriching them with all of the necessary information, then like running the campaigns as well, and like on automating the integration with the CRM. So we build up that internally. So, and if there is an interest, I'd be happy to arrange like a webinar sharing all of the tools that we use, how they're set up. So, and yeah, pretty much share a framework so that it's easier for you to set up an automated LinkedIn marketing process as well. So we have both for LinkedIn and email. It's just that email we found that is not that effective, at least for us, it wasn't effective. LinkedIn shows way better results right now for us. So yeah, you can drop in the chat, let's say thumbs up if there's an interest for this kind of webinar. And yeah, we'll be happy to set it up for you.
With that campaign, is it that you initially would send an in-mail or a connection request, or there's a piece of content that goes out? Because it'd be interesting to know the conversion between sending an in-mail versus sending a connection request with a personalized message, because I'm sure everybody here receives both, as I do. And some people I've heard say that when they get an email, because they know that there's only a finite amount of emails that someone can send, that it makes you feel a bit more kind of like special because it's been more targeted or more research has been done. And yeah, so I just wanted to know whether you've got any experience between the two.
Yeah. We are doing both connection requests and in-mail for the same reason as you said, like there's a limit to in-mail, so and actual limit to connection requests as well. So even if you have premium, so there is a like a limit to how many connection requests you can send out during a specific week. So yeah,
Yeah.
so we are doing both.
I think there's something interesting in the art of condensing down the ask to 300 characters or whatever it is that you have with a connection request. And I mean, for context for the founders that are on this call, I met Roman. Well, we connected on LinkedIn first, and I think you sent me a message saying that you were coming to London Tech Week because you'd seen that I was going because I posted about it on LinkedIn or it was on some list or something. And there was no sell in there whatsoever. It was just, oh, I'm going to, it would be good to meet up and like meet each other when you were coming over from Ukraine. And so is that part of the sales process is actually just building meaningful relationships rather than
Exactly.
coming out there initially and trying to sell a product?
Yeah, we never let's say open up all the cards
Yeah.
straight away. And to be fair, the proper way how to run, let's say, LinkedIn lead generation is to before like even sending a connection request, engage with the audience, with those specific people during some time. So that means like reacting to their posts, writing meaningful like comments to them. So and obviously it's kind of like it's something that is hard to scale without losing quality. Obviously, there are all of these AI tools that promise very personalized comments, but like they're not there yet. So obviously, human touch is not can't be replaced for now at least. So yeah, so the ideal scenario is that before reaching out to them, like engage for some time with their content and only then write the connection requests and reach out. So that's the ideal scenario. But to be fair, like we are not following it all the time as well because, well, the team has to reach their quota. So and yeah, so they're time pressured and we're more let's say focused on let's tailoring the offering the right way and doing that multi-step. So first more like a personal connection. So, and then like step by step, getting the lead interested with some content, with some case studies, and asking them for their time to yeah do a demo of the product and see if they're interested.
Yeah, I was about to say exactly the same thing that Emma put in the comments. AI LinkedIn comments are so obviously written by AI at the moment that if anything, you'll disengage as a result of it. And I think some of the sales messages that come in, especially um, the longer messages that you can get, they're so long that I don't even bother reading them.
The
Like,
shorter, the sweeter. Yeah,
yeah,
it's in our genes to like avoid anything which is like too much energy to process. Like a long read, you will waste, well, you will spend your energy to look through it, read and understand. So our immediate response is like long, okay, like sometime maybe later. If it's a short, very clear. That's why, again, I was talking about narrowing down the target audience so that you can have a very specific offering for them. So it should be the connection request shouldn't be longer than like 3 sentences, to be fair, and three fairly short sentences. So yeah, and even like the next following messages again, quite short. And by the way, three is a very magical number. So in sales better to write, for example, three paragraphs, short paragraphs in every paragraph, maximum like 3 sentences. So it's easier to consume.
yeah. Equally, when you get a connection request on LinkedIn, which is kind of obviously from someone that wants to sell you something, but they just say, "Hey, how are you?" or something, you're like, "Can you just get to the point? Like, what do you want?" So that there must be a sweet spot between um uh, kind of selling what you're going to sell and building a personal relationship that the person who's getting sold to realizes kind of what you're selling, even if you're not selling, unless it's something like we're going to the same event, it will be good to meet up. But there's people that just start really random conversations and you don't really get what they want from you. And I think that that can turn people off as well.
Yeah.
Did you didn't do like did you do like a lot of trial and error with that initial? I know you said you got to like tweak and iterate, but that initial message to get like the most, I don't know, people accepting the connection request or
We are iterating all the time, to be fair. So for every audience, the messaging is different. So it's a continuous search for what works, and when you find it, it worked for some time. But again, like there's no silver bullet that some specific message will work for years, and yeah, so everything and we'll give the same good numbers.
yeah. There's a question that's just come in from on the chat. Once you're on a sales call, any specific ways you phrase the ask, and how do you decide the right time to do so?
Well, it's an interesting question. When you're a sales call, so I guess the other person is really interested to hear what you have. So there's no, let's say, there's obviously should be an ask on that call. Typically, how I do like these intro sales calls is obviously give the pitch about the service or the product limited to like 5 to 7 minutes usually. So, and take the rest of the time to learn more, obviously, about the customer, about their needs. And like ideally, at least like for selling services, that works really well. For product, perhaps as well, is to ask them to make an intro first, because they will unveil some of the details about their company, about them, about some problems that they're facing, and then you'll know what to focus on in your pitch. So, ideal recommendation: ask your like prospect to introduce themselves briefly, what they're doing about their company, and then you'll be able to position and like tailor your pitch better in order to appeal, like, well, focus on those specific things that they're interested in, and always finish the sales call with a very clear CTA, very clear next steps, so that there's no, like, I know, like feeling of like hanging in the air, like what to do next. So there should be always like a clear ask or like clear next steps of what we're heading to. Hopefully I answered the question, but if not exactly, please follow up with more questions.
Do you mention the pricing on the call, or would you always follow up with a, because again, this is for a service business or anybody that the price would change, so not a SaaS subscription or something. Would you always follow up with a proposal, or would you kind of float the price on a call so that you can see their reaction?
Yeah. We test both options, and right now we're more leaning towards sending the pricing after the call, to be fair, because that's something I've heard from like other industry professionals, that like it's sometimes a bit intimidating, like, to hear the pricing for the first time during the conversation. So it's kind of like I don't know, like this a bit sensible moment, and it's like people better digest that, like just on their own, in their, let's say, own pace, and like in a bit more, I don't know, confidential setup. So, and like through text, like through email, you'll be able to discuss the price. Let's say they will have time to think about it. You'll have better time to think about the response. So usually, like we send the pricing now after the sales call. But I'd recommend testing both options and seeing what works better, because again, like it depends on the price tag as well, whether it's something negotiable or not negotiable. So I'd recommend testing both. But if it's kind of like a, let's say, an enterprise level software and the price tag is quite hefty, I'd recommend perhaps trying out sending the follow-up email with the pricing and see how it goes.
Is there anything, if you do have prices that are negotiable, or I guess if a founder is worried about whether they're landing the price in the right way, is there anything that you say in an e email to let the person you're selling to know that you're open to a conversation about the price so they don't just immediately say, no, it's too high, I'm not interested, and then they ghost you or something? Like, how do you make sure that the conversation stays open?
Yeah. Well, mentioning that you're open to discussing the price immediately sends the signal that you're open to lowering the price. So, and like yeah, encourages the client to negotiate a lower price. I wouldn't I wouldn't send signals from our side, to be fair. Like wouldn't be the first one to send that signal, because again it's just you're opening your cards like that. Okay, like bid lower, I'm ready. Yeah, there was a question, any tips on how to speed up a long sales cycle? That's a really good question, to be fair. And obviously, there are a few ways how to do that, like time limited promotions, following up, with the client saying like, oh, like by the way, that this is something new that we're offering until this time. So are you interested or not? So yeah, this is usually something that works really well in order to just create that feeling of like missing, of a possibility to miss an opportunity. Usually, yeah, you can only influence time with time. So if like the timeline for the sales cycle is quite long, so try to tweak, for example, with either with your, again, like whom are you reaching out to? Maybe you're targeting a little bit too low, and like that person has to go through a series of approvals, and you need to maybe like change uh the ICP that you're reaching out, or like offer these like time limited offers in order to, again, like speed up the sales cycle. But again, like every client, every like type of product and type of client has their own sales cycle, and perhaps that's something that is normal in those that specific category, and trying to rush it and squeeze it in a smaller timeline might, play out not that well. So yeah, I think like it you really need to like analyze whether other, let's say, players in a similar market are facing a similar sales cycle or not. Yeah, again, like the tiredness is kicking in. So sorry for me trying to, taking a little bit longer to answer the questions.
All good. Is your strategy then, if you know that you're pitching someone with a long sales cycle, but then you've got a few other businesses that can make faster decisions, do you keep like all of the threads of conversation going at the same time, kind of predicting that this one might take a year, whereas this one might close in a month, and then you can roll it out in a way that's more sustainable from a cash flow perspective?
Yeah, so I can share, for example, an example from Impressed, like from our service business, because obviously we are working anywhere from early stage startups to big enterprise, helping build new products. And yeah, enterprise clients tend to take long time to close. For example, we work with Shell, but that relationship took like 2 years to establish, build, and then like finally the right moment to kick off the collaboration. So yeah, if we were waiting for 2 years for Shell, we'd probably run out of money by then. So yeah, so that's works out really well for us, the combination of both startup clients where the sales cycle is faster, Yeah, there's someone cleaning the leaves, so hopefully you don't hear that much. So yeah. So the smaller projects with startups help us have a shorter sales cycle. So like the cash flow is running faster, whilst obviously bigger enterprise client, that's something that makes a difference that helps the company grow pretty much. So perhaps a similar combination could work for some product startups as well, like smaller clients plus like bigger enterprise guys.
Yeah. There's a question that's just come in on the chat from Wes. What are your thoughts on contacting more than one person at the same level in the same role in an organization at the same time, especially if you're doing it on LinkedIn?
Not same role probably, but we are contacting few people in the same organization, but different roles. For example, a CTO, CEO, and like head of engineering. So all of them are hands-on with their product development, or like they're familiar with the challenges, with the problems that are happening there. So we are reaching out simultaneously to a number of them. Although I need to check with my team whether we are doing that exactly at the same time, or we just set up a sequence so that if like our initial contact doesn't reply, then we reach out, for example, to the CTO. If the CTO doesn't reply, then the CEO. Depending on the size of the organization you're reaching out to, obviously target not, if it's a 200 employee company, probably going straight to the CEO is not the right thing. So going somewhere in the middle, like the level of like heads of the specific departments or VPs should be the right audience. And like then go like up from there. If they don't reply, try to go higher in order to really try everything with this specific account and not, throw it, dump it pretty much if the first person didn't respond to you. So yeah, definitely try reaching out more than one person. And on this webinar that I've seen a few thumbs up, so I think we'll set up. So on that webinar, we can include that information as well.
I wonder whether you've. So I used to work at a company called Reward Gateway, which went on to become a unicorn, and their sales cycle was they were so streamlined. So they had three different roles within their business development team. One was a researcher who would be just looking for who the key people of influence were within the organization. So they were selling HR software, so often it would be head of HR or someone in a people team. But if there wasn't a people team, it might be the COO or the CEO, depending on the size of the organization. And they'd write down, they'd stalk them on LinkedIn and look at the kind of content that they were posting. So if they're talking a lot about one particular passion area of theirs, they'd note it down. And then after they'd researched everything, they passed it over to the next person who was the kind of like opener of the relationship. And they would send a video. And they were in the video, this was via LinkedIn though. So it would be, I guess, like a Loom video nowadays, but this was about 10 years ago. And in the video, they say, "Oh, hi, blah. I saw that you talk a lot about XYZ topic. We're really passionate about that here as well. This is what we do." And then they would kind of have that initial conversation. And then they would then pass over to the closer, who was another different role, who would then go in and meet that person face to face. And they've got all of the information from the researcher and from the person that was opening. All of their conversation was recorded, and then they would go in and like sell the product that Reward Gateway actually did, and their conversions were so high from doing that approach. Obviously, not everyone is in the place where you can have three different roles within a sales team. But the thing that I'm interested to know is whether you've ever tried doing any different type of media. So rather than just a written outreach message, whether you've ever like sent a video, or some people send like almost like, here's a personalized version of what we can do for you, and it's got your logo on it or something that just looks a bit different or stands out a bit. This is for Roman. Have you tried that?
Yeah. Not yet. Sorry, but yeah, not yet. I haven't tried that yet.
I think it's like we've had people who, I don't know, they sell like website redesign or something and now actually provide a little mock-up of what your website could look like if they were to do it.
Mhm.
And all of those
We
little
did. Yeah, what we are trying to do, it's well, occasionally within Impress it again, like it's a like a service business, but again, something similar can be done with a product. As you mentioned, like this demo, like some prototype. So we actually, how we stood up, stood out as a software development company is that when we presented proposals to some of the clients, when there was like, let's say, possibility on our side, some available resources, we did a quick prototype. So of like a functioning prototype of maybe of the key feature that that product should was supposed to do in order to win the trust and like impress the client. And right now in the era of like AI, so that's becomes even more important. So now with AI, we'll be doing even more of these prototypes because well, it's when you're building some Gen AI products, so it's pretty much is like a R&D process trying to like find tweak, let's say, and try different approaches how to get the desirable result, desirable output of the model. So yeah, so going that extra mile and trying to maybe invest a bit of your time to like really win the heart of your client is important. And with the products, it is possible as well.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference. Um, I think Wes is asking, but that might be similar to what I just asked. Have you tried the Loom video approach with email or any of your other sales outreaches?
We tried not Loom, but there are these tools that kind of like add the GIF to the email. To be fair, not a big fan of those because again, it just makes clear that it's an automated outreach and yeah, so I usually just close those emails. So, but perhaps there is like if that is a personalized Loom video that well, obviously it will have an incredible result, but again, like how many personalized emails you can send out, even if you have a team doing that. So it's a very tailored approach, and I guess the LTV, the price tag to those clients should be quite high in order to justify that amount of efforts dedicated to this approach.
Yeah. I've also had people leave voice notes on LinkedIn very infrequently, but people have done it. I'm not sure like how I feel about that as the person being sold to, but there's so many different media that you can test and see whether it makes a difference. So but then that's part of the strategy of what might work for your business. And I guess what you're saying, Roman, is yeah, is it worth it? Is it worth spending that much time making a Loom video when actually the conversion from just sending a text-based message is the same?
Yeah. We tested some time ago voice messages on LinkedIn. Uh, didn't get the positive response, to be fair. So it wasn't on a big scale. I think we tested like a bit more than 10. So, but yeah, like not better than just text follow-ups, to be fair.
That's good to know. Um, we're going to wrap up in a minute. If anybody wants to get in touch with you outside of this webinar, which we can send the details around via email and in the WhatsApp group, but if anyone wants a one-to-one, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's fairly easy, and there's just one Roman Zomko on the whole LinkedIn. So, or yeah, work. I can put my email here, so that would be fairly easy.
I'll also just throw.
Email and WhatsApp number even. Let's make it personal. I think I. Yep. Yep. Thank you, Birdie.
No worries. Thank you so much. We will let you go sleep now. Thanks for joining
Thank you.
when just fresh off the flight from New York and sharing that advice with us. For everyone
Thank
else,
you. Hope
we've got another session, but Roman, we will.
Pleasure. Hopefully you got some insightful info for you. So yeah, but if you have any questions, do let me know. And yeah, we'll follow up with details about the webinar, and I'm pretty sure that'll be even more helpful for you.
Great. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, Roman.